That's someone else
Yeah,
on the line?
it could be somebody's line. It could be there. It went
It
quiet
just
right
stopped.
there. So yep, there you go. Yep, it went quiet. If it gets too scratchy, I can mute, but I want you guys to have the ability to jump in with questions if you want to.
Yeah.
Um, okay, as we start here, again, my name is Scott Bridges. I'm with Trimble, and I know I've been to your office down there a few times in Tallahassee. I live here in Atlanta, and I appreciate everybody's time for joining this morning. I know your time is valuable, so I was going to take 20 or 30 minutes, fairly casual here, to walk through some of the core version of Business Center software so you can see what is available and what you guys have access to. As we start right here, I've just got the core version of Business Center that you have the ability to download off the internet available. If we look under the Support tab and License Manager, here's where you will see it's just the core version. No extra features or modules right here, just the core product. If you ever needed to add modules or anything, those are available for you to do, and those can be seen. I've sent this Excel sheet to you guys, but this is for version 4.0, which we have at the moment. And 4.0 includes a spreadsheet of all the available modules in Business Center. If you ever needed images or other tools, they're available right here. And this spreadsheet is available to search through as well. If you click on one of the tabs, it will show you what is available in the core version. So by clicking this, you'll see all of the features over here on the left. These are available features in the core product. So quite a few in the core. Everything else is production modules that can be added. There's some tools that could be valuable in another one of these modules, such as surface tools. But that spreadsheet is available for you guys. But I am not using any of the license modules right now. We're just in the core feature right here. And I'll walk through a couple of settings for you. First, you can, by bringing data into Business Center, you guys have had this in your manual, but by going to File and New, you can set up any custom templates that you would like. By setting up a couple of custom templates, you can set up your own layers, your own settings, English, feet, international. You can set up all your own layers that you would like. And how does this also look within the system? If I go back to File and down to Options, here's another valuable part within Business Center. The File and Options lets you see how to start it, where do I want to store my data, my project locations. You also have the ability to get down within your external services here. This may be an area, depending on what you're using for your state and how you're working with things. ProjectWise is an option, and other tools as well. Trimble Connect can be uploaded. If you go to the Trimble Connect and just Google that, that is a free service that you have access to as well under Trimble Connect. And you can set those services up so they talk back and forth within Business Center. Okay, you can either use the project settings to import data, or you can drag and drop data into Business Center, and I'll show it both ways. So the ability to drag and drop just from Explorer into here. You can even drag and drop zip files if you would like to. So if you've got something in the zip, it will open it up, extract it, and bring that into the system as well. What are some of the core features just as you're moving around? Well, first, with your mouse, if you have a wheel mouse, you want to be able to zoom in, zoom out, press down, and pan. And you have different views that you can see on the side of your screen right here. I have a Project Explorer that lets me see what surfaces I have, what files that I've imported. I've got a View Filter Manager. These are available from the quick command bar. You can see the quick command here. And these can be turned on and off. Here's my Project Explorer. Here's my View Filter data. If I would like to, these can be seen from the top or the bottom. I can show above the ribbon or below the ribbon, either place, and I can make them larger or smaller. If I use my set menu layout, they're set as a large set of icons right now. If I turn that off, they go to a much smaller set of icons. Okay, how do we navigate? What can we do and what can we see within Business Center? I've just dropped a file in here. A couple of things you have access to. If I turn on my surface, it will show you the triangulation if this came in as a surface file to work with. So we can see the triangulation on this, DTM, a 10 model, a tri-mesh, a couple of different terminologies for that. A couple of things to show you that I like to talk about. In Business Center, some of the key factors are hitting the F1 key. Function 1 will bring up your help commands. The F1 will show you all the features and functions within Business Center. Hey guys, I am going to, there is some static on one of the lines right here. So if you guys are okay, I'll take about 15 minutes and walk through. I'm going to mute this for a minute to remove the static, and I'll keep talking. If there's anything that comes up, you can send me a chat, and I'll turn this off in about 10 minutes for you guys to ask other questions. So let me go through here and do this. All right, I am still here, and I hope that's good for you guys so I can do a little more recording on this. Okay, F1 is the function key. It takes you to the help command. Couple of things about F1. Whatever command I am in, whatever I click, F1 is context sensitive. So if I come into this screen, click on a particular line, and now I hit F1, I will see what's available for that. View filter managers and also a right mouse click. When I right mouse click, it will give me the choices for what I have available. So this particular line string, when I right click, I can edit it, break it, offset it. I can do various options with it. If I click on a surface and right click, here's the choices I have to a surface. So multiple choices depending on what I want to work with. Okay, from a surface, a couple things that may be valuable to understand is you may want to tighten up a linking or a tri-mesh. You may want to tighten it up. If I click on one of these line strings and I right click and go into those properties, you'll see what the line string is, what its name is, what its properties are. There is a tool right here if you're trying to tighten up a surface, override segment length. I'm going to say yes to that, and instead of me having to build specific information for that line, I'm going to say this particular line, I would like to set it a 1 foot linking or a property. So if you notice, just by changing a setting, that particular line now ties at a 1 foot tinning algorithm right here. So it's pretty powerful to do that. Another couple of things built into the surface and the properties. If you see the surface right here, this is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, building a site. I can see it in 3D view at the same time. Here's my 3D view of this job. You can also see multiple views at the same time if you have more than one monitor. If I right click, you have float view, which lets you see it on another screen. Or I can take any tab and drag that tab across my screen and set it up on the side. So now that you see one view in 3D view, another view in plan view, another tool that I have access to is anything that you click in one view is active in all the views. So if I click something in my plan view, I see it in 3D view. If I click it in 3D view, I see it in my plan view. Everything is dynamic and interactive within Business Center. Okay, another property that I wanted you to see right here is here's that triangulated site. You see that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's taking the closest points and connecting those. Traditionally, in survey terminology, we may want to put a break line across here, but what we've got the ability to do under those properties is I can adjust flat triangles, yes. And by adjusting the flat triangles, it can automatically clean up that surface for me in more detail right here so that I can see that information. All right, that's a couple of just properties and features that you can change the length of a line, you can change flat triangles, you can turn your surfaces on and off. Another tool is, again, how you drag and drop. I'm going to take a DWG file right here and just drag in and drop a DWG file. So you can either, again, go to import or you can drag one in. Here's some line work. What I want to do with this line work is go to my surface tab. All of this can be customized as well. If you right click, you guys have done this in your tool book that you've created right there. I can customize these ribbons so that they show exactly what you would like to have access to. But I want to create a surface. I'll make this a pad. And what do I want? What members do I want? I'm just going to pick by a layer. I'll select everything on this particular layer, and we'll say OK to that. It creates another surface. So now I have surface 1, surface 2. Again, with your quick inspection tools right here, I've got the ability to do a surface slicer, and I can slice across the surface and see exactly what's going on at any point in time, and I can compare multiple surfaces. So if we see this, we've got one surface here, one surface here. I can dynamically see that. If I want as well, I can use my control key and click with my mouse, and using control, we can set up multiple points of reference. So we can see multiple locations along this data using the control key. All right. Another couple things as we move ahead. Time flies when you're having fun right here. If you look at these layers and you want to see them individually, you have all of your settings right here within your View Filter Manager, where I can zoom the extents and isolate layers. If I pick my first layer and just use my down arrow, as I walk through this, just using my down arrow, and I'm zoomed and isolated, it lets me see what's on each independent layer right there. All right, that's a couple of things. From here, we can run a volume. I could come in as well now and just do an earthwork report. I want to go surface to surface from my original to the pad we just created, and I'll say OK to this. And it will calculate how much cut and fill exists within this particular area. All right, so again, that is just creating a surface using the surface command, bringing it in, comparing the volumes using the earthwork report, zooming and panning, as well as opening it up and seeing it in a 3D view as well. All of these are tools that you have access to in the core version of Business Center. Again, to see more than one thing at a time, you just drag a tab over and you can see that information. Okay, that's a couple of things. F1, my favorite function for help is F1, and you right click as well when you want to see what you have as far as getting around in the system. That's getting around with a couple of the navigation points. A couple more things I want to show you guys for a few minutes within the roading is just some of the other tools that do exist within the core system right here. So I'm going to take about 10 minutes, walk you through a couple of the features that you have access to. I know you have engineering programs that are designing your roads and all that, but just a couple of the features, just want you to see what you've got access to. And after that, I'll pull everybody off of mute here so we could chat and see if this helps and answers any questions for you. So with that in mind, let me start a brand new job right here. I'm going to go in, and you can either start a new, and there's usually two ways to do everything in Business Center. So I can use a icon, or we'll go File, and I'll hit New. Here's where you set up your templates. You guys have set some of those up already. I'm going to start a brand new job, and let me show you some of the geometry and math you have access to within the core version of software. I will start with going into CAD and creating a line string. Easiest way to build a new layer is to hit the space bar. So when I hit the space bar, it pops up with my layer choices, and I would just like to call this line work and hit my OK button. So we'll do line work. I'll say OK. It's going to allow me to put a coordinate in here. What coordinate do I want to put in to draw a line? All I'm going to do is draw basically the center line of a road and stick a template on there. And this is in the core version that you have access to. When I want to enter data within the core, I'll put in northing, easting, and I can put elevation in at the same time. So this coordinate is northing 0, easting 0, elevation 475. I hit my enter button. There's my first location. Where do I want to put the next one? Maybe I'm going to put it at 500 feet away. So I'll put 0, 500, and I have my second point created. Now, again, you just can create points. You can use bearings and distances, and I'll finish this up with an elevation of 525, and it will be located right here. All right, so I have a couple of points in on my screen. How can I edit any line work that I have on my screen? I'll go into my edit button. You click on something, you right click to edit. I want to change this location from a straight to an arc. What radius would I like? We can come in here and put a 250 in. And the reason I want to show some of this is just to let you see how you can go in and change and modify and work with some of the core features within the software. When you have a line string that's drawn, these are some of the tools that if you have a boundary that you're trying to draw, if you're trying to create extra line work, you have bearings and distances and everything at your disposal. So we're starting at 475, we're going to 525. That's just a line. It's not an alignment or anything yet. So where do we want to go from there? Well, now I'm under the CAD menu still. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'll call this rectangle. I hit the space bar for a new layer. I'll call it original ground, and I am just going to give it an elevation of 500. Let's start over here. Let's draw a line. Okay, so I have a line drawn out here that's at 500. How do you build a surface? We go back to the Surface tab. I want to create a surface, and I'll call it original ground, and I want to use this line and say OK. We now have created an original ground surface. It's perfectly flat, but we've got one created out here. I can turn that information off. Okay, let's go back and show you these last few features in just a couple of moments right here that you would have access to within Business Center. So we would go to the Corridor tab, and I would like to create an alignment. I can name this. We'll just say main line. I'll put it on a layer, spacebar, alignments. If I want to keep up with any of my data, you can either type it all in with bearings and distances, or I can use an existing line. So I'll click this line and say OK, and it backtracks and reworks all of my mathematics associated with this line. So I've got a line that's been created. It generated an alignment from that data. So if you bring in XML data or other CAD data or DGN data, you can also click on that data to create an alignment. It gives me my bearings and distances as start, stationing, gives me my vertical information as well. So we now have created an alignment, a horizontal and a vertical. I've created an original ground. Where can we go from here? Let's go to create the corridor. I'll name this. I have my horizontal alignment, my vertical alignment. I have an original ground. That's everything that we need to put this information in. Where would I like to start this entire process? I'll start at the beginning, station 0. I'll call this template number 1. And it will go through and set up now where I'm looking at my plan view. I'm looking at a template view. I have one point in space, and I have a single line here at 500 elevation. I would like to create an offset slope from my center line point. We'll go 10 feet over, negative 3%. I'll call this edge of pavement. And create that. As you see, everything is dynamic. It's allowing you to do this in 2D and 3D at the same time. We'll do another offset slope from the second point that I created. I want to offset it 5 more feet, negative 6%. I'll name this edge of pavement. I have my edge of pavement created now. We can see that in both views at the same time. From there, maybe we want to finish this up with a side slope, and I want to go from that edge of pavement, tie it to the original ground. If I'm in a cut, we'll give it a 2-to-1. If I'm in a fill, we'll give it a 3-to-1. I'll name it tie. And it generates my information. As you see, it's wherever we are. If we want to inspect data, if you bring in alignment data, if you bring in road data from other parts of your organization, anywhere you move, you can see as I scroll through dynamically, you're seeing exactly what's going on through that road alignment. So that's been created. Now that we've got that information in here, I will mirror it. We have an option to mirror the instruction, and we can now see that on both sides of the road. So what we've done is just drawn a line in, which you can import from another system. another CAD package, any of your design software, XML data that you may be working with, or iModels, any of that data, we can bring that in. We can use that alignment. We can use that template or create anything. And I'll finish it up with one last piece here is I'll run a station offset elevation, or I'll run a corridor report on this. I'm going to say, here's my road. Every 50 feet, I would like to run a volume. And after I pull this up, I'm now going to go back in and I will unmute everybody so everybody can hear what's going on and I can hear you guys again. Let's see. Okay, I think I've turned everybody's mics back on now. So you guys, all your mics should be available to speak again if you need to. But this is the report that can be generated from a corridor report. So it's showing me at what station, what my area is, what my volume is. This can be generated from a Excel sheet or from this spreadsheet here, either place. So I can dump this to Excel or I can dump it here and we can see all of these quantities. So again, if we back all the way up, I know I was super fast through that, but I wanted to kind of talk about a few things in the core version that you have access to. Number one is the Excel sheet that I sent to everybody, that if you have questions on that, it is this reference sheet, which tells me what I have in my core version. If I click the core, here are the features you have access to in the core downloaded copy of Business Center. Part two is if I hit the F1 feature, it gets me to my help guide, and it's context sensitive depending on where I'm working. And also if I click on an item within Business Center and I right click, that is the choices I have. So right click is context sensitive based on where I'm working. We have the ability to come in here for basic corridor applications. We have the ability to create alignment, and under surface, we can create surface and run volumes within a site. That's set up in our core version of Business Center 4.0. And the other thing to understand is when you right-click on anything into those properties, that's where we have all the property options. If I want to create tighter links, if I want to shade by slope range, that's one thing I didn't show. I can pull this up very quickly for you as we wrap up here. Is I'll pull back up this previous site. Here's a site if I turn on that 3D view as well, so we can see a 3D view of my job. Turn on my surface. Here's my 3D view. If I go into the properties of that surface, you see there's multiple choices right here, and some of those even include a slope range. Maybe you're concerned about some of your design work and you want to know how that slopes, so if I come into the properties of my surface right here, yes, I want to see what areas of my site are between 0 and 2% slope. If I change this and look at it from 3D view, it isolates the areas so I can see what parts of my job fall within that slope range. That is another choice. And as we're moving through our entire job site and moving around, in the lower right corner, you do see the coordinate scroll associated with everything. This coordinate scroll is also available. Oops, I just had a glitch right there. I am sorry. My coordinate scroll also can be opened up on my screen so I can do other things at the same time. I apologize, my screen probably blanked out on you right there. I had a graphic card glitch that just took place, which is not a bad time to. I will wrap up the recording on this as we speak right here. Okay, as I pause that recording, you guys should have access to talk on the phone right there and should be able to hear me. Any questions or comments, or was this helpful for anybody that just picked up and was listening for a few minutes there? Was this valuable for a short overview of what can be done in Business Center?
Yes, it was very helpful.
Yeah,
Okay.
Scott. I thought it was great. You said you were recording this. Where
Yep.
would this be available if we wanted to watch this again or point somebody to do
Sure,
this?
I can send a link to you guys. Not a problem. I can send a link to you guys so you have access to it. And once you've got that,